What would you do if you knew that we are in the last days? The Bible makes intriguing predictions about the end of the world and the tribulation that may be coming. What if we told you that current events fit into a prophetic timeline? Wars, pandemics, and even a series of earthquakes, signs that seem more common than ever. But how do these events relate to ancient scriptures? Imagine a world where love has grown cold, and parents turn against children. And what if, in the midst of all this, a charismatic figure, Savior, appeared, promising peace in a chaotic global scenario? The Bible speaks of an Antichrist, a leader who may seem like the solution but who, in reality, hides a dark plan. How does modern technology intertwine with these prophecies? And what about the marks that could define who can buy or sell? Are these questions intriguing to you? Stay tuned, because the conversation is just beginning, and the answers may be more surprising than you imagine. The beginning of sorrows. When it comes to the beginning of sorrows, many may think it is merely a poetic expression, but the truth is that this idea carries significant weight in biblical prophecies. According to the scriptures, this principle refers to a series of signs that precede the end times. The Bible mentions wars, diseases, and even family conflicts as indications that something grand and terrifying is on the way. Looking at the current world, it's hard not to notice the relevance of these signs, as violence and natural disasters seem to be constantly escalating. Wars, for example, have become a constant in various regions of the world. With armed conflicts spreading across developing countries and even in nations considered stable, the concept of global security seems to be in jeopardy. Moreover, the proliferation of weapons and the growing tension between world powers fuel an atmosphere of uncertainty. It's almost as if we are living in an era where peace has become a rarity, and this, according to some believers, would be a clear manifestation of the beginning of sorrows. Diseases, on the other hand, are not only a matter of public health but also a reflection of what many consider to be a moral and spiritual deterioration of humanity. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, not only challenged healthcare systems worldwide but also brought to light ethical and social issues that many prefer to ignore. For those who believe in prophecies, this is yet another sign that we are approaching a critical moment in the history of humanity. Family conflicts, which may seem less relevant compared to wars or pandemics, also play an important role. The increase in division among people, even within households, is seen as a reflection of the growing lack of love that permeates society. When human relationships deteriorate, the idea of a world united in the pursuit of peace becomes increasingly distant. Thus, the beginning of sorrows manifests on various levels, leading many to question what is truly to come. The connection between these signs and spirituality is undeniable. Many see these events as a call to reflection and change. The beginning of sorrows, then, becomes a warning, an opportunity to seek a life more aligned with spiritual and ethical values. The message that remains is that, before it's too late, it is essential for each person to do their part to change this scenario. Prophecies about earthquakes. The increase in frequency and intensity of earthquakes is a topic that cannot be ignored when discussing apocalyptic prophecies. In the Bible, earthquakes are mentioned as signs of the end times, and as natural events intensify, many wonder if we might be living in these forewarnings. In fact, in various parts of the world, devastating earthquakes have become more common, and this generates unease among those who observe the scriptures. What is particularly interesting is the connection made between these natural phenomena and the collective perception of a world on the brink of collapse. When a major earthquake happens, the news quickly makes headlines, and fear spreads. Images of destruction and the number of victims make us reflect on the fragility of life and the unpredictability of natural events. For many, this is a clear manifestation of the prophecies about the signs that precede the end. Stories of survivors and emotional rescues are often shared, but what many don't see is the message behind these events. Some interpretations suggest that earthquakes are not just natural disasters but calls to action and awareness. In a world increasingly indifferent to others and to global problems, these events can be seen as a way to awaken humanity to the need for change. Moreover, the relationship between earthquakes and environmental issues cannot be disregarded. Human activities, including mineral exploration and uncontrolled construction, can contribute to geological instability. This interconnection between human actions and natural disasters raises questions about collective and individual responsibility. Are we, by ignoring nature's warnings, only accelerating the prophetic process? World war and global conflicts. The possibility of a world war as a precursor to final events is a topic that generates as much fear as it does debate. It is no wonder that many scholars and theologians focus on this issue, seeking to understand the implications of a conflict on a global scale. History has already shown us that wars can arise from regional or ideological tensions, and the current scenario doesn't seem much different. International relations are more fragile than ever, and this creates a climate of uncertainty. In recent decades, the world has witnessed a series of conflicts that, although they haven't reached the scale of a world war, show an increase in the aggressiveness of nations. The arms race and strategic alliances are elements that fuel the possibility of a large-scale conflict. In this context, many see parallels with biblical prophecies, which speak of wars and rumors of wars as signs of the end. The role of technology also cannot be underestimated. In a connected world, misinformation can spread rapidly, triggering reactions that could lead to conflicts. The way nations communicate and interact has been transformed by the digital age, bringing new challenges to diplomacy and world peace. Thus, the possibility of a global war becomes more real, and many wonder if we are prepared to face this eventuality. Moreover, the issue of ethics in modern warfare is a topic that deserves attention. The use of advanced weaponry and cyber warfare raises questions about what it means to fight for a cause. What is considered a just war? The answers to these questions are complex and often controversial, but what is certain is that war, in any form, brings suffering and destruction. Peace agreement in Israel. The peace agreement in Israel is a topic that attracts attention not only for its political implications but also for its spiritual and prophetic significance. For many scholars of the scriptures, an agreement involving Israel is considered an important milestone that may signal the beginning of an apocalyptic countdown. The importance of Israel in biblical narratives is undeniable, and any movement towards peace in this territory is seen as a significant step toward the fulfillment of prophecies. Historically, the region has been marked by conflicts and tensions. The pursuit of a peace agreement has been constant, but efforts often fail due to deep-seated distrust and unresolved historical issues. This complexity is a reflection of the prophecies that speak of the difficulties surrounding peace in Israel. Many believe that when there is finally a lasting agreement, it could be a sign that the final events are approaching. The figure of Jerusalem is central to many of these discussions. Considered a sacred city by several religions, its importance transcends political boundaries. The status of Jerusalem is one of the main obstacles to peace, and the solution to this issue is seen as a crucial element for any agreement. How the world handles this city can have repercussions that go far beyond geopolitics, reaching spiritual and prophetic realms. The idea of a global leader who could mediate this agreement is also present in apocalyptic discussions. Many believe that the arrival of a savior who brings temporary peace may be related to the figure of the Antichrist. This perspective generates an interesting debate about the nature of power and leadership in the current context. To what extent can the pursuit of peace lead to dangerous alliances and questionable compromises? Tribulation and Great Tribulation. The idea of tribulation is a central theme in discussions about the end times. This period is often divided into two phases, the tribulation and the Great Tribulation. The first lasts 3.5 years and is marked by hardships and persecutions, while the Great Tribulation, also lasting 3.5 years, represents an exponential increase in oppression and control over individuals. For many, this division is crucial to understanding how events will unfold in the last days, as foretold in the Scriptures. During the tribulation, the faithful face a series of challenges that test their faith and resilience. In this period, religious persecution intensifies, and many are faced with difficult choices between holding on to their beliefs or submitting to a system that does not respect spiritual values. The pressure can come in many forms, from social marginalization to explicit violence. It is a time when courage and faith are put to the test, and many question the strength of their convictions. When one enters the phase of the Great Tribulation, the situation worsens significantly. Biblical accounts speak of total control over individuals, where freedom of belief and expression is virtually eliminated. The consequences of not conforming to the system's demands can be severe, leading to a scenario of despair and desolation. This phase is described as a period of unprecedented suffering, where humanity faces the consequences of its rebellion against divine principles. The prophecy also suggests that there will be an increase in natural calamities and conflicts during these periods, serving as a reflection of the intense spiritual struggle underway. The idea is that humanity, by distancing itself from God, approaches a dark destiny, where pain and anguish become common. For many, this vision serves as a warning and a call to action, encouraging spiritual and emotional preparation. The reconstruction of the Temple in Jerusalem. The reconstruction of the Temple in Jerusalem is one of the most intriguing topics when it comes to apocalyptic prophecies. For many, this event is seen as a crucial milestone that signals the beginning of the last days. The Temple, which was destroyed in 70 AD, is considered a sacred place not only for Jews but also for Christians who view its reconstruction as the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. As the discourse on the reconstruction of the Temple gains momentum, debates arise over the social and political impacts of this act. The location is currently disputed and is a sensitive point in relations between Israelis and Palestinians. Reconstruction could exacerbate existing tensions, provoking a new wave of conflicts in the region. For many, this raises the question: are we facing a harbinger of war or a true spiritual revival? Moreover, the idea of reconstructing the temple is also surrounded by deep symbolism. For believers, this work would be a sign of the return of the divine presence on earth, a moment when biblical promises come true. The temple would not only be a physical structure but a place of worship and reconnection with God, something many long for. This expectation brings renewed hope while generating uncertainties about what is to come. Many organizations and groups have mobilized in favor of the temple's reconstruction, and modern technology has played a fundamental role in this process. The use of advanced construction methods and the possibility of gathering necessary resources through international donations are some of the strategies at play. Discussions about the project's feasibility bring forth not only issues of faith but also of politics and diplomacy. The Mark of 666. The Mark 666, often referred to as the Mark of the Beast, is a concept that generates much curiosity and speculation. In the Scriptures, this symbol is associated with a control system that requires people to submit to it in order to buy or sell. This idea resonates deeply in contemporary society, where digital control and surveillance are increasingly discussed topics. Many believe that the mark could manifest in various forms, including subcutaneous technologies like microchips. These technological innovations have raised concerns about privacy and individual freedom. The advancement of technology, which promises to make life easier, can also be seen as a potential instrument of control. This duality leads people to reflect on the cost of such innovations in their lives. Moreover, the Mark 666 is also a symbol of choice. In the biblical narrative, those who do not accept the mark are persecuted and face great difficulties. This highlights the issue of freedom of choice in a world where external pressures can be overwhelming. For many, resisting the mark becomes an act of faith, a way of remaining true to their beliefs amidst an oppressive system. Interpretations of the mark of the beast are diverse and often polarized. Some see it as an imminent reality, while others believe it is a metaphor for the spiritual challenges that humanity faces. This difference in understanding generates heated debates among theologians and scholars who seek to clarify the meaning and relevance of this symbol in today's world. The discussion about the Mark 666 is not just a religious matter but also a reflection on our collective future. As technology advances, concerns about individual freedom and privacy become increasingly relevant. For many, the mark of the beast is a reminder of the importance of staying vigilant and aware of the choices we make, both in spiritual and social terms. Technology and the apocalypse. The relationship between technology and apocalyptic prophecies is a topic that provokes both fascination and fear. As we advance in an increasingly digitalized world, many wonder if the innovations we bring to life are, in fact, beneficial or if they can be seen as part of a larger plan unfolding before our eyes. Technology, which promises to simplify daily life, also raises profound questions about control and freedom. One of the main points of discussion is how technology can be used for monitoring and social control. With the rise of digital surveillance, many fear that privacy will become a relic of the past. The idea that monitoring systems could be used to enforce the Mark 666 is a constant concern in a world where technology is increasingly integrated into daily life. This possibility generates a feeling of vulnerability and a reflection on the limits of individual freedom. Furthermore, artificial intelligence and the algorithms that govern our online interactions bring ethical questions to the fore. As machines become more intelligent and autonomous, what does this mean for humanity in terms of control and autonomy? Many of these issues are discussed in academic and religious circles, raising a debate about how technology should be used and what its moral limits are. Another important aspect to consider is the growing dependence on technology in modern life. The consumer culture that develops around digital devices can be seen as a form of worship of technology. This phenomenon raises the question of how adoration of these advances may relate to the worship of the Antichrist, as described in prophecies. This comparison leads to a reflection on the values we are promoting in our society. Carbon credit and social control. In recent years, the concept of carbon credit has gained prominence in discussions about the environment and sustainability. But, beyond its ecological intentions, some see this practice as a form of social control. It is interesting to note how environmental policies, when implemented, can generate a monitoring system that goes beyond mere emissions reduction. The idea of individual tracking, for instance, becomes more tangible when considering that each citizen can be seen as a carbon consumer, with their actions constantly evaluated. This approach raises heated debates about freedom and privacy. In a way, the use of carbon credits can be interpreted as a tool that, although aimed at saving the planet, can also serve to control behaviors. Imagine a system where every movement you make, every choice of transport, and even your purchases are linked to a carbon score. The pressure for everyone to act in an environmentally correct manner can become a control mechanism, where compliance is encouraged and divergence is punished. Additionally, the discourse around global warming and its consequences can be used to justify measures that, on their own, may seem invasive. If society begins to fear an imminent environmental collapse, acceptance of stricter policies may become a perceived necessity. The connection between the environmental crisis and the need for social control thus becomes increasingly evident, raising questions about how far society is willing to go to ensure the planet's survival. On the other hand, it is essential to reflect on the ethics behind this use of carbon credits. Who really benefits from this system? And how can it be ensured that it does not become a tool for oppression instead of a means to promote environmental responsibility? The answers to these questions may be complex, but they are certainly essential to understanding the current scenario and possible future directions. The discussion around carbon credit and its potential for social control is, therefore, multifaceted. It is a topic that transcends the simple environmental issue and touches on fundamental aspects of individual freedom and social ethics. As we move forward, it is crucial that this conversation continues, involving not only environmental experts but also philosophers, sociologists, and society as a whole. Global warming as a sign. Global warming is a phenomenon that has been widely discussed over recent decades, and its interpretation as an apocalyptic sign is beginning to gain ground among some groups. For many, climate change represents not only an environmental crisis but a possible manifestation of events that align with the prophecies of the end times. This apocalyptic view of global warming can be seen as a way to explain natural disasters and social crises occurring in a world that seems increasingly chaotic. These interpretations are often grounded in the belief that extreme weather events, such as devastating hurricanes, prolonged droughts, and catastrophic floods, are signs that humanity is straying from a moral path. Rising temperatures and sea levels are seen as evidence of a land crying out for redemption, while the environmental crisis becomes a reflection of human failings. It resonates with the idea that nature, in some way, is responding to the mistakes committed by society. Moreover, the connection between global warming and the apocalypse is often reinforced by narratives that emerge in times of crisis. When society faces more frequent and severe natural disasters, the interpretation that we are living in the last days becomes more appealing. This apocalyptic perspective can create a sense of urgency, prompting people to mobilize for change, but it can also lead to despair and fatalism. The question that arises, then, is how this view of global warming impacts the actions we take. If we indeed believe we are in a transitional period toward the end times, does this motivate us to act more decisively regarding climate change? Or, on the other hand, can this belief lead to paralysis, where people feel powerless in the face of an inevitable fate? Balancing hope and despair is delicate and crucial in this context. Conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories have always been an intrinsic part of human history, and the current scenario is no exception. In recent years, natural and political events have generated a series of speculations and narratives that seek to explain the inexplicable. A notorious example is the Fukushima earthquake, which not only caused destruction but also fueled a wave of theories ranging from technological manipulation to interference by global powers. These alternative explanations often attract those seeking a deeper understanding or an explanation that goes beyond the official versions. The rise of social media has intensified the spread of these theories, allowing unverified information to spread rapidly. In a world where people are increasingly distrustful of traditional institutions, these conspiratorial narratives offer a sense of control and understanding in a chaotic scenario. The idea that hidden forces are behind natural disasters, for example, can provide a sense of order in a world that seems increasingly disorderly. Additionally, conspiracy theories often reflect deep fears and social anxieties. When the population faces crises, whether environmental, political, or economic, the need to find a culprit or an explanation can be irresistible. Thus, the Fukushima earthquake and its consequences are not only isolated events but catalysts for a broader series of discussions about power, control, and human vulnerability in the face of nature. It is worth noting that, although some theories may seem absurd, they should not be dismissed without reflection. There is value in questioning established narratives and examining the interests that may lie behind them. However, the line between healthy critique and paranoia can be thin, and it is crucial that people remain critical but also grounded in evidence. Worship of technology. Today, technology has become an inseparable part of our lives, shaping the way we communicate, work, and even relate to each other. This growing dependence raises intriguing questions about human nature and the possibility that technology, at its peak, could assume an almost divine role. The worship of technology, therefore, emerges as a contemporary narrative that explores the relationship between innovation and spirituality, questioning whether we are, in fact, worshipping a new kind of idol. Worship of technology can be seen in various spheres of daily life. From the relentless pursuit of new updates and gadgets to the way social networks influence our perception of value and success, technology becomes a new standard of reference. This dependence creates a vicious cycle, where the momentary satisfaction provided by a new device or app leads to the need for the next technological miracle. In this context, technology serves not only as a tool but as an object of veneration. Furthermore, the growing influence of artificial intelligence and neural networks in our lives raises questions about autonomy and free will. As machines become smarter and more autonomous, one could argue that we are moving away from our own human capabilities. This shift can be seen as a form of submission, where technology is elevated to a status once reserved for spiritual or divine entities. The idea that technology can solve our deepest and most existential problems becomes an almost religious belief. On the other hand, it is essential to recognize that technology also has a positive side, bringing innovations that can improve human life in various areas such as health, education, and communication. The critical question, then, does not lie in technology itself but in how we use it and in the relationship we develop with it. Could it be possible to find a healthy balance, where technology is seen as an extension of our capabilities rather than a substitute for human experience? Ultimately, the worship of technology leads us to reflect on what it means to be human in a digital age. As we become more dependent, what lessons can we draw from all this? The Bible, with its prophecies and warnings, invites us to reflect on what truly matters. Are we prepared for the challenges ahead? Are we attentive to the signs around us? As the story unfolds, we cannot forget that hope is a constant. Even in the midst of tribulations, there are promises of restoration and redemption. And you, where do you stand on these issues? Are you ready to discern between what is true and what is mere illusion? Let's keep this conversation going. Leave your opinions and reflections in the comments. How do you interpret the signs of the times? And what does your faith tell you about all this? Don't forget to like and share this video, so more people can join this important discussion. See you next time. And remember, God's Word is a beacon in times of uncertainty. May we always seek to understand and apply these teachings in our lives. Until next time.